Yeah, it's the first time I've done that in a long time. Got us all in the right seats. So welcome everybody. So today, just now, this session is conversation about what you guys are seeing, hearing in the CPaaS community. So after this session, we'll talk to the carriers for a slightly different view, and also Google. But right now is CPaaS companies or aggregators. What do you call yourselves? We'll call you CPaaS right now, here and today. But if I could just maybe start with a quick introduction, your name, your company, just a bit about yourself. If I could start with you, Fabio, first, please.
Sure. My name is Fabio Garrido. I'm from Sinch. I'm responsible for the go-to-market of OTT channels, especially WhatsApp, Telegram, Viber, and other channels. I'm based in Miami, and very happy to be here. Thank you.
Great.
Hi, my name is Brian Darcy with InfoBip, Director of Business Development Telecoms. I'm based in Dublin here, which is great, so I can say welcome all to Dublin. You're all very welcome. So I've been with InfoBip for the last 5 years. Before that was with Atom Technologies, an Irish company, and so very much involved in the whole messaging space.
Great. Hi, everyone. I guess it's working, maybe not.
No, I think we've got. Can
Okay.
this one go?
All right, there's a little bit delay there. Hi, I'm Pradas. With BTS. I've been with BTS about 13 years, but I've been in this industry quite a while. So I've seen a lot of the evolution from the days of the telex to the telegrams to the fax to the voice to data, back to voice now, and looking forward to this discussion. I'm based in Madrid, and BTS is a tech solution company, aggregator. We're heavily involved in the voice side, so we're happy that this voice revolution is coming back. We're also on the SMS side, cloud numbering, and other solutions for customers.
Good afternoon. My name is John Waters. I'm Chief Commercial Officer with a company called Phonovation, again based in Dublin. I've been with the business nearly 18 years, seen a lot of change in the marketplace, and delighted to be here today and give you my opinion on whatever the question is you want to ask.
Great. Thank you, John. Just before we start, I wanted to just thank you, Brian, because you've helped us put today together and bring a few of the folks locally to us.
Too good, I think that's too generous.
Thank you. Well, I've got to be nice because Sinch and InfoBip sat that close together. I'm trying to soften things.
We're good friends.
We are, definitely.
As Colin said this morning, we all win together, so there's room for all of us.
Yeah, good frenemies. Jean, if I could come to you first on the subject of OTP, one-time passwords, one-time passcodes. So the question for you is, with your role at BTS in strategy, do you think the industry's become too heavily reliant on that particular use case?
Well, right now, it's a boom. Okay, so what's it going to be down the line? I mean, we have to look at, actually talking about InfoBip and Sinch, and their results have been positive. Let's look at what the stock market is looking. And, focusing on messaging capabilities, value-added services, up the value chain, producing, monetization of software, and also producing cash flow, right? So right now on the OTP side, it's a boom for us, all right? It's my question earlier about silent OTP because, some people are looking at, single OTP versus now, double authentication process. As more and more, we're going to find out there's going to be other types of OTP, whether it's biometrics, whatever it is. I mean, if you go to an airport now, it's all biometrics in most airports, most of the advanced airports. So it's, until regulation gets in there in some form, there's no guardrails in many aspects. So companies have to come up with their own solutions. And part of the solutions is what we offer, across the line, customized OTP solutions from wherever. We work with InfoBip, we work with Sinch, we work with many other companies, giving them those solutions. So I think it's still going to be hot, and it's going to be there for a while.
Any other comments around OTP traffic?
I can comment about how we are seeing other channels as WhatsApp ramping up on the authentication business. It's incredible, the adoption from the customers, and also the way that Meta is building their APIs. So before we had templates at Meta that blocked us to be quite smart on how we create the messages. We were limited to just put the OTP number. Now Meta is releasing new APIs where we are able to send any message we want as an OTP message. So it opens for industries where we have some limitations, where we need to include like terms and conditions and such. So the OTT channels are more opened for new use cases. So what is the objective is clear, being the main focus on this main channel focus for this use case, getting the SMS traffic and converting the SMS traffic into the OTT traffic. So we are seeing this ramping a lot. It's not just in the OTP, but in all other verticals. So it's growing a lot, and I think we can connect this with the AI orchestration. So today we are seeing the AI playing a very important point in this authentication world, because before we had just the SMS. Today we can orchestrate. We can have WhatsApp. If the user is not on WhatsApp, we can send on Viber. The user is not on Viber, we can use Telegram. The user is not on Telegram, we can fall back to SMS. So there's AI everywhere. Mm-hmm. The OTP is changing, and we need to adapt ourselves.
Yeah, the AI is going to determine which channel to use. All right, and again, the cost is also a concern. Carrier costs, termination costs are definitely a concern. But you know, the hyperscalers, they're all going to use whatever's more economical for them, since it is a big business.
Yeah, if I can jump in on that. So, you know, you've one-time passwords over SMS, A2P, amazing business. We all did well from it, but things are moving on. And they're moving on for a number of reasons. One is alternative technology. So there are alternatives. You know, a couple of years ago, not so obvious on the alternatives. And then the second is we all know about AIT and we know about pricing, so we don't need to get into all of that. But so it's moving on. And I think what that has done is it's creating a more interesting market. You know, new technologies come through, you know, AI is an overlap, and then, you know, making the customer journey less friction, giving the enterprise what they want. And, you know, the enterprises are now actively looking at this. And it's not just the big hyperscalers, it's become a thing. I think it was said this morning by Emer and Stormont, is enterprises are now looking at this as part of how they engage with their customers. Whereas before, you know, it was kind of us in a room, and it was some of the big hyperscalers, and it was quite a small industry, even though it was global. But now it's become much more long tail. It's becoming much more long tail, so more interesting. Mm.
So kind of crystal ball, Brian, if we look ahead 3-5 years, which actually things don't move that quickly in our industry from what I've kind of experienced over the years. But where do you think we might be in that sort of time frame?
Yeah. So, you know, maybe to look forward, you need to look back a little bit. So we as being InfoBip, we published a report recently around messaging over the last 10 years. So in 2016, we did 149 billion interactions. And when you looked at that traffic, about 75% of that of those interactions were done by companies who used one channel, and that was SMS. Mm. So 75% used one channel. If you look at last year, we did 628 billion interactions, and 97% of those customers used more than two channels. And I think it was, it was 25% used four channels. So I suppose where we're going, you've got to look at where we are. And it's already happening. So one, the volume has gone up, and two, alternative technology channels to SMS are coming in. So it is becoming more of a real CPaaS play. I think if you bring it forward, you know, AI has kind of really made it a topical issue. So we're almost now at the point where we are at the point now where enterprise are really considering this as something that they must do. It was said this morning, if you don't keep up, if you don't actively get involved, you will be left behind. And I think that's something that's been accepted within enterprise. It was interesting. I was involved with O2 Media about 15 years ago, and we did a whole O2 Media advertising play. And we went at it pretty serious. This was in Ireland, it was Telefonica, and we went at it pretty seriously. We hired people from the advertising industry, and we put a lot of money behind it, and we tried to push it as all the M&O data to monetize that for advertisers. And we decided very quickly earlier on that we needed to engage with the advertising community, the marketing agencies. So 15 years ago, they didn't want to engage. As far as they were concerned, the budgets, which were big, would go on TV, newspaper, billboard, radio, all the traditional mediums. And what was great this morning was to see Emer there, one of the largest companies in Ireland in terms of advertising, and nearly her whole presentation was about digital. So what's happened is this isn't just the mobile operators and maybe the CPaaS companies and aggregators. We've gone from a push to a pull. So where is it going to go? I think the future looks very bright, and I think it's going to start to happen exponentially now with growth.
Can I just go back to one of the stats you mentioned? And I appreciate if you can't disclose this information, but you said a majority or a minority of the customers are sending messages on more than one channel. I assume one is SMS. Can you tell us what the other one is?
So there's kind of two, and I'm not dodging the question, but the reason I'm kind of, depends what part of the world. So you look at the US or you look at India, RCS is huge. You look at Europe, WhatsApp is huge. So it's generally SMS or WhatsApp or SMS and RCS. And now voice is coming, and more of them are coming. So it's not like there's, SMS is still the dominant player, but that is being challenged all the time.
And if you don't mind me pushing again further on one of those stats, you mentioned there was kind of 4 channels. What would those 4 typically be? I guess we've got SMS, RCS, WhatsApp.
Yeah, so you got voice in there as well. Even email. Email has come through as well. So they're kind of the primary ones. And then, then you've got a long tail of Viber, WeChat, and all of that.
Yeah. John, Brian just mentioned AI and AI driving volumes and kind of pushing us forward in the industry, as it is doing in most industries, it seems at the moment, or potentially it's still hype. I don't think so. But what's your view on kind of AI, and how much do you see that growing the CPaaS industry?
So in terms of CPaaS, we've been looking at CPaaS for many, many years. We've been looking at waiting for the likes of RCS to come into play along with SMS. And obviously in Ireland, unfortunately, we're still waiting for it from an M&O perspective, but hopefully that will change over the next 12 months. But in terms of CPaaS for us, it's intelligent orchestration. It's grouping all the different mediums together in one house, if you like, and then having the opportunity then for our customers, the end user, if you like, to have the facility to be able to communicate with the people that they want to, the way they want to. I think AI will manage the dialogue between, manage the dialogue that goes out, when the message goes out, why it's going out, the timing, etc., etc. And orchestration will be down to us in our CPaaS platform, which we've always been SMS the whole way through, but now we've made that change in Phonovation to incorporate other mediums such as WhatsApp, etc. The Viber, we have the opportunity to do that. We work quite closely with InfoBip. We actually call our platform Phonovip, so it's quite good. We have a great relationship with them. So from an Irish perspective, it's really, really exciting, because Ireland doesn't have that at the moment, right? So we're getting a huge amount of interest from organizations, both from a retail perspective, financial, insurance, etc., looking at other forms of communication outside of SMS. And I think from an AI perspective, the automation side of it, that works really, really well in a lot of those industry sectors, because they'll be able to create a different form of communication with their customers and actually handle that and take away live agent calls necessarily, take away live agent calls and have everything done in a seamless way from a messaging perspective.
So very much chatbots,
yes,
and process automation.
That's absolutely where it's going.
I think that we've been missing the point unless we look at the customer interface and the customer experience. Okay, there's so many different channels. How is AI going to determine which is the most efficient and more comfortable, simple for the customer, whether depends on their profile? I think that's a key element that, because I mean, there's so many different channels, whether it's 4, 8, 9, okay? Customer, recently I've been in a chat where, whoever owns the layer is really going to control that. And AI may determine who's going to run that layer to make it, efficient for the supplier, as well as comfortable and simple for the end user.
Yeah, so that's good.
We are bringing to this equation the customer journey. So it's more than the channel, it's the customer journey. We have to start the communication where the customer is. So if we think on like a retail vertical or beauty, where are their consumers? In channels like TikTok. And they are every day or 10 hours a day, there are some crazy people. So we need to start bringing, this point to the equation. And then we need to be able to keep the conversation wherever the channel is. So we can start the conversation on TikTok, and then we might finish the conversation with an OTP or any other channel. So we need to adapt ourselves to the customer journey, keeping the engagement and bringing value to the whole chain.
Can I just mention a point? Brian said earlier on about Emer's presentation this morning was really interesting. About 10, 15 years ago, we went to a lot of the ad agencies in Dublin to push SMS as a medium for their customers to be able to, from a marketing perspective. And they just weren't interested at all because it wasn't sexy enough, it wasn't video, it wasn't television, it wasn't print. But I think that focus will change now. You're mentioning TikTok, you do your purchase, you can do your messaging from TikTok, it's all video related. I think that will change now within those marketing agencies or the ad agencies because WhatsApp and other stuff like RCS, etc., will completely change that market because there's an opportunity to be able to push video and nicer things than SMS.
Yeah, and in terms of the opportunity and where CPaaS going, so again, look, in the Irish context, it was said the spend next year or this year will be 1.57 billion. Now, Ireland's a small country. We have 5 million people, 5.5 million people. 1.5 billion is a lot of money. The key difference now is in the 15 years ago, there was a budget that went to TV and radio and advertising. What's happened now is digital communication will get a cut of that 1.7 billion. And from what I'm hearing, it will get a fairly decent cut. Now, wherever you have budget, and you've pre-approved budget for the coming year to spend so much on digital engagement, then it really happens. Because somebody's been paid to make sure that the money is spent in the right area. And so the marketing and the media agencies are really key to all of this, particularly in a situation where you're trying to drive sales. But now it would appear that the budgets were always there, but now digital is going to be a big part of that spend. Yeah.
Certainly sounds like from a MEF perspective, we should get more of the publicists to talk to us in a room like this, right? Because I think it's opened kind of a lot of conversation around it. Certainly is something we are trying to do. Fabio, you kind of touched on X. You started that conversation, or TikTok, sorry, not X. Can you talk more generally around the OTT channels? What are emerging? We talked a bit already about one-time password codes through SMS. Talked a bit about AI. Let's talk a bit on OTT. What do you see happening in that space?
It all depends on the region. So talking about big brands with global coverage, the global coverage, it's reduced to a regionalized strategy. So there are companies thinking on their strategy in different ways. So US is for sure RCS, Latin and India, WhatsApp, and then if you go to Japan, Thailand is line. So we need to orchestrate that well, and we are seeing the adopters, the brand adopters, being more in these channels and trying to grow, because it's where the users really are. So we saw, it's super interesting that we saw at the past, looking back, the apps industry. So right now it looks like the apps industry is pretty much shrinking, and the OTT channels are growing, and we are seeing this. It's much simpler to have a communication on these OTT channels versus an app. And then we are seeing the budgets being driven to these channels. It's growing super fast. And then bringing more information, for example, about TikTok. I had a conversation with them. They said 41% of the consumers interacted with a brand. So 41%, this is a lot. And then talking to some other verticals, like crypto. Crypto is an amazing vertical, and they are focusing 100% on Telegram. So it's super interesting that there are some verticals focusing on specific channels and regionalizing the communication as well. So what we had before was just the SMS, and now we are seeing regionalization and communication into the main, communication channels per each region.
So you mentioned Telegram there and crypto. Is there any other type of, can you give us any other examples of specific channels, sectors running through certain apps?
For example, Telegram, we have many customers on the security industry and technology. So they prefer to run their campaigns on Telegram.
Wow.
And yeah, if we go to localized, Thailand or Japanese companies, they will invest their money online. So it all depends on some verticals and sure, the region.
Right.
But I think we need to come back in this case to the orchestration. So the orchestration is the key point here, and we have to be able to create chatbots and solutions that communicate on now available channels.
Right. Let me just pause there 1 second. Are there any questions from the audience? Anything we have? Leading CPaaS global companies on the stage here. I'm sure there are some. We'll come back to that at the end. Again, just perhaps crystal ball time, and Jean, with your role as a strategist in this area, where do you think we'll be having this conversation in 4 years' time?
Well, 4 years is, in this industry is a lot, okay? Maybe 2 years.
Okay, we'll take 2.
I will say, to start off, we need to control the fraud aspect. So going back to Eli's AIT scenario, that needs to be controlled somehow. And that's where maybe machine to machine will help out, because you sort of eliminate or you reduce the creativity of people when it's just machine to machine. All right, so and that's an area that's growing more and more. So we'll see, AI agents to AI agents, and that's going to help, because from a regulation point of view, we need to see what the regulators are going to do to help out combat, let's call, the fraud aspects, all the different variations of fraud, I do think that the expansion of APIs, contrary to BT, I think that is an area that right now and for the next 2 years, I don't know about 5 or 6, but definitely in the next 2 years, the capabilities of APIs is an area that's going to be very interesting and growing overall, And the end of the day is, the AI impact. I think the AI voice, we're thrilled about that, from our perspective, because, 90% of our business is in the voice area. So for us, that's really a very key element for us. But I go back to what I said originally. A lot of it has to do is, customer focus is up, but it's also the companies. How are the companies making money? They're focusing on going up the value chain. They're going into monetization of the software. The platform is a key area. What is the platform going to be offering, and the different platforms that are available? I think that's an area that that needs to be focused on, and that's where the return's going to be. And where there's resources, that's where companies are going to be focusing on.
Good. Brian, they'll be coming up later, the operators, but I just wanted to get your view from a kind of CPaaS perspective. Where do you think they can play in that next phase of growth, or where do you think they should play in that next phase of growth?
Yeah, so operators, I think, they have an amazing opportunity. The key is, will they capitalize on it? So there's a general view that the mobile number is a unique identifier. It follows you around. It is it almost is who you are. And the operators have so much data on all of the individuals behind that. So if the operator, I'm speaking about APIs here. If the operators can get those APIs built to Kamara's standard and they can get them exposed to the market, I think what will happen is the CPaaS companies will grab them and it will start to make them available to the enterprise. And it's already happening in some markets, but for it really to kick off, they need to do that. Because the operators, and obviously this is all dependent on data compliance, but the operators have so much information on you in terms of where you go, what do you browse, how long have you got your phone, your age probably, where do you live, where do you work, they can run the trends. All hugely valuable information, especially in a world where advertisers are moving more digital. So an amazing opportunity on the API. So again, Colin said APIs didn't have a future. I'll disagree with you on that one, Colin. So I think they do, but they need to get their act together. And similar with RCS, I think they've got an amazing opportunity. It's rich communications. There's a lot you can do with RCS, but on a country level, it's got to be deployed across the board, and even on a continent level. So pricing also needs to be important. So they have an amazing opportunity. They just need to seize that opportunity. Because, and I'll stop on this, because if they don't, we're definitely moving into a world with CPaaS where it's all about the customer. And the CPaaS companies will have to provide what the customer wants. Whatever channel they want, they can have. In a secure environment, they've got to have it. So you've got to have, there's obviously industry discussion and forum, and MEF is big on this in terms of putting the structure in place around how to combat AIT. But really, most things are solved by technology. So a secure environment, right pricing, give the customer what they want. And if the operator participates in that, quality service at a price, they will do well. If not, they won't.
Good. I think back to what Ellie said before lunch, touched on that as well, where, I remember probably going back 10 years on geolocating people for marketing type services. If we can enhance the technology so that data comes through more real time, and it doesn't necessarily have to guarantee that person's in that place, but they probably are, that's good enough. And on that, it's really a commercial. And if we can probably end on a commercial note, because I think that's what's most important at the end of the day is driving commercial benefit. And John, from your perspective, how do you see that commercial growth evolving over the next few years? Is there going to be any new, unicorn services or solutions, do you think, that will come in, or how do you think it will evolve?
I think the first thing, particularly here in Ireland, is to educate our customers, companies, organizations, enterprises, about what is available to them now outside of SMS. I think CPaaS is absolutely, it's not the future, it's now. We have it now. We're on a journey within Phonovation to go out and educate, because they actually don't know what the availability is. Otherwise, they'd have been using all these other apps or OTT services already, and they haven't. So for us, it's an education journey with them. I think once we do that, I think there won't be a shift from SMS necessarily. It'll just be another type of messaging service along with your WhatsApp and so on and so forth. But yeah, for us, it's education and pushing it as much as we can within Ireland. We're sending about 500 million messages a year in Ireland, small country. I know, obviously, compared to what InfoBip are selling worldwide. But we run 3 platforms. We host, manage, and manage those three different platforms. But they're sending 500 million meshes a year. There's about between 700 and 800 companies that are using that just primarily for SMS at the moment. So we have a base that we can go to educate in terms of how they could be using a CPaaS solution more effectively for their businesses, and that's the journey we're on at the moment.
Great. So perhaps evolution as opposed to revolution at this stage. Okay, I'll open up again to the floor. I've given you plenty of time to think of a question. Surely somebody's got one.
What's the biggest threat, biggest existential threat to your CPaaS platform? What are you most worried about wiping you out?
Did everybody hear that?
So
So I'll repeat it
All
again.
of it?
Tim said,
Termination.
what's your biggest concern about wiping out the CPaaS?
Yeah, so
What's the biggest threat?
yeah, the biggest threat. So I'll kind of come back at it maybe in reverse. So not so long ago, there was a big threat, which was the dependency on SMS. And that was a threat because, you know, 90% of the business was coming off SMS. And if anything happened to that, there would have been a problem. Whereas what's happened now is you've got this transition into other channels. So that threat is being reduced. And because now you've got multiple channels, so the big threat is kind of reduced. I'm not really answering your question, but maybe I'm kind of saying the fact that it's divide and conquer. There's less dependency on one. Yeah.
I don't think any one channel is going to dominate the market. I think it's a group scenario. I think companies like InfoBip, like Phonovation, are in a key area, in a key spot where you have an advantage that we can go out. We're like a service provider for all of these different channels, and we have access into the customer base. And I think unless WhatsApp or Meta have boots in the ground and they're going out and speaking to all these companies, I don't think they're going to do that. So we're in a good place, and we don't just deal with WhatsApp. There are other mediums as well that we work with. So.
Okay, good question. Thanks, Tim. Anybody else? We'll call it there. John, Eugene, Brian, Fabio, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.